Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2025 Forest River Wildwood 178Bhsk. We are just going to start off with the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you're pre-wired for an observation camera as well as a little collapsible storage system. If you'd like to get set up with either of those, you can contact our parts department. We also got our spare tire located right in the back here. Then coming around the passenger side, the driver's side of the unit, pulling on that bumper cap. It's going to be your sewer hose. You typically store your sewer hose after your first use. We do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why it's not in here yet. But after your first use, that's where you're going to want to put it. Keeps all the smell out of the unit. Here's access from either side. Got a cable satellite inlet right here. And then you do have stabilizer jacks in all four corners of the unit. Just extra note, they are stabilizing jacks. They're not leveling jacks. Don't try and use them like that. They also, if you are running them up and down with a cordless impact, just keep it in mind of how much torque you put on them, as it is pretty easy to bend them. Once you hook up your 3/4 inch drive tool, which again we do have a manual one located inside the front compartment, running this foot down to the ground. Once the foot contacts the ground, just giving another 1/8 turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bouncy sway you see we have in the unit right now away. Got your 2 low point drains, so if you don't want water going stale or stagnant, or you've done your winterization process, you just want to let some of that pink antifreeze out, loosen these guys off, and that's how you would do that. Coming up a little bit further here, taking and twisting your sewer cap off. You just take a note of those ears there. This is the same ears your sewer hose are going to have. Line them up with the notches like so and twist and lock into place. You're going to have your black valve and your gray valve. You always want to empty your black valve first. This is your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. And then you can combine that with your gray valve, which is typically cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Got your 30 amp twist lock connection. Just take a note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Pressing it firmly into place. 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow the cord back, you do have your standard 30 amp plug-in. Most campsites should have this, and you can plug right on in. But let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service, which is your standard household outlet. We do include that 15 amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind. It's just to run your fridge and your lights. You can't run your air conditioner off it, unfortunately. You got your city water connection, so if you're at a site with service, you can thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. And then you do your black tank flush. The way that works is thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's just got a jet nozzle that's inside that black tank, which flushes things out. Helps with false monitor panel readings and if you're getting any odors around the unit, but always making sure you do read this caution sticker. It's just stating that whenever you're using it, you do have to have your sewer hose connected and the valve open. Failure to do so could expand that tank to the point of cracking because you're pushing pressure in there. It would have nowhere to go. Coming down to this side, opening up this guy, popping that open. The 3/4 inch drive tool for your stabilizer jacks. Now on this side, you got your 2 batteries located right in the front. This customer did opt for the second battery. You got your battery disconnect switch on the front frame with it in the on position. Batteries are connected to the unit with it in the off position. The batteries would be disconnected from the unit, and additional to that, if the batteries are disconnected from the unit, it also disables the 12-volt system, so just keep that in mind whenever you have it disconnected. Right at the front, typically, you're going to have this nice little cover on there. I just took it off for the purpose of the video. It's pretty standard. You got a wing nut on this side in case you want to take that off once you undo your safety strap. Then counterclockwise, just like any standard barbecue, opens up the flow of propane to the unit. Front tongue jack right up front. Coming around this side, popping this guy open. Weight distribution, which this customer did opt for, and then you get your standard starter kit. Inside there, you get that 10-foot sewer hose, which I've already talked about. You also get a 15-foot water hose, the 15 amp park adapter, which again I've already told you about. Then just some other miscellaneous goodies. Leave that stored inside here for you. You got your entry door, which I'll go over getting into in a minute. Got your range hood vent, so whenever you get to your campsite, making sure you have that unclipped so you can evacuate those fumes as you want to. And then whenever you're not using it, snapping it into place. That way you're not getting any excess dust inside the unit. Furnace exhaust, whenever that's on, it will be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Nobody likes burnt chairs. Fresh water connection. Put a garden hose in there, turn it on. That's what fills your fresh tank, so if you're out boondocking and you don't have on-site water, The drain for it is just right down below, loosening off the caps, just like your low point drains. All the drain water is going to drain out. Service port for your hot water heater. Again, whenever that is on, it's going to be blowing out hot air as well. Popping that guy open. Power switch at the back there supplies power to the thermostat inside. Now a couple notes about the water heater. If you've had a camper before, you probably had a tanked water heater, in which case if you winterized it yourself, you'd have bypass valves behind this. This system is the total opposite. There isn't any bypass valves behind it, and if there is, you don't touch them. You're running antifreeze through this system. Once you're done winterizing completely, cracking this pressure relief valve and leaving it cracked open for the duration of winter. All it is just fluid that goes through copper coils. There's a big flame in the middle. So if you left that closed, it could run the risk of bursting one of those copper coils. Exterior shower, 751 key comes included to open up that guy. Then we do the little exterior kitchen area. 110 mini fridge at the back here. Whenever you're hooked up to shore power, that's going to run. Pulling out your griddle. Having to make sure you slide over the little extra safety latch. Popping your dust caps off, always making sure you're using them whenever you're not using the line. Running that down below the floor. Take this end, it's like a standard airline. You pull back on the collar, you can insert it into place. Once it's locked in, it's locked in. Coming down below to this end, same sort of idea. Pulling the dust cap off, pulling the collar back, inserting that into place, locking it in. Opening up that opens up the flow propane to the griddle, and you now be ready to fire up. As an added safety feature, with the flow propane open, you can't operate the coupler, so you do have to close it, and then that'll allow you to take that off. Closing it up is just the exact opposite. To get inside, taking your assist handle, pushing it up, folding it 90 degrees, and lock in place. Opening up your door. As an extra note, whenever you open up that door fully, please take note. You're going to come into contact with that awning arm, so if you were to go to run it, it's going to cause some damage. Always making sure before you run your awning, you got that door closed 90 degrees so your awning can move in and out freely. Taking a step on inside, first thing you notice, that fire extinguisher right on your left. Pretty much just like home, pull the pin and shoot. Up on the wall, you got some light switches. The one on the far right does some living space lights. The one on the left does your little awning LED strip light. And then you got your water pump switch, which does draw out of your fresh tank. Awning control, pushing that up, awning's going to start making its way out, and once it's fully extended, you're going to see the back of the metal tube with a little flap hang down. Unfortunately, today we're not going to be able to get it all the way out to show you that, but we'll be able to get it out most of the way. Sometimes that flap can get stuck, so you do just have to retract it and then pull it back in. Retract it and put it back out again to get it to come down. Now, if we were to start running, you take any arm, front or rear, you're just pulling on these tabs, which then pulls on the metal tabs, pull in on your awning arm. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to run off. Now, it also allows for more shade underneath, so you can do the same thing with the front arm. That suits you better. Bringing it in is as simple as holding the down button. The awning's going to start making its way in, and once the arms contact the side of the trailer, they automatically cut out. Lastly, we do have our slide out control. The way that works is pretty simple. Pushing the button, once the slide out's at its full extension, the motors are going to cut out. Always, before you run your slide out, always making sure you know what's on either side of the slide, inside and out. The reason I say inside is things do tend to shift sometimes, so always be mindful you're not getting anything caught in between the slide outs and being visual whenever you're using it. Of course, just making sure on the other side of the slide you have enough space. You're not going to run into any trees or anything because it moves pretty quickly. And there you go, the slide out is out, it's at its full extension, you're good to go. Now you get your little bedroom area, find our entry mat. To get our bed to fold down, you're just taking your cushions, moving them out of the way, pull on the foot of the bed, and fold out. That'll allow you to fold down your mattress and fold it out. And you have your sleeping space. You're going to notice you do have sleep app access on both sides of the bed, as well as plugins and USB to USB-C plugins. To get that back in, it's just the total opposite, flipping it all the way around. Sometimes when you get putting the couch in, you kind of have to assist the top to get it to fold back in nicely. Folds down. Get your little portable JBL speaker sound system for the unit. Hooks up to Bluetooth through your phone. Take it to the beach if you want to take it to the beach, or have it playing whenever you're here. It just clips on the side here. Solar controller on the wall. This customer did opt to go with the solar panels on the roof. Right now we have it set up for your basic charging needs. If there's sun being hitting those panels, it's going to be applying a charge to your 2 front batteries, which again, the customer did opt for a second battery. There's a bunch of different settings you can go in and play with. I'm going to recommend going over the owner's manual to get into that. Storage all around. Whenever you're using the storage inside this unit, always be mindful of drains, water lines, and wiring. You don't want to be messing with any of that. Some nice storage totes right below the couch that Forest River included. Now to your little kitchenette area. Microwave up top, just like home, not much I'm going to show you there. Next, you do have your oven. Since we're talking about the oven, since this unit's equipped with propane, we got our LP detector right here near the ground. If this guy ever starts going off, just turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit and open up some windows and vents to ventilate things out a little bit and get some fresh oxygen inside of here. Now when it comes to your stove, so when you turn your propane system off, and especially if you disconnect your bottle, it allows air into the system. Once air gets into the system, it does have to be purged out before anything's going to want to light nicely. That's why I always recommend when you get to your campsite, if you've had your propane system off, firing up the stove, the stove, first thing, it's just the easiest, quickest way to purge all the air out of the lines, because if you went to go fire up your water heater or your furnace, those only try lighting themselves a couple times before they'll throw a fault code. Once you see that fault code, it can throw a little wrench into your weekend if you don't know what it means. So that's why I just recommend doing this. Turning it over to the high/light option, pushing the knob in, activates the burner, turns it on, and you get it lit right away. Today it lit pretty quick because I had the system running earlier. Sometimes it can take a few minutes, but always whenever you're running that valve, whenever you're running the propane, making sure you're having the igniter on, that way you don't have any buildup of gas and minor combustions. We all like to keep our eyebrows here light. For your range hood, I always recommend running that whenever you're running your stove, that way you're evacuating those propane fumes. In this bag here, you're going to have your keys, manuals, a couple little different checklists we include. Up on the wall, you got your thermostat for your water heater, power button to turn it on, Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button, up or down to change your set desired temperature. As an added safety feature, it is locked to 50 degrees Celsius right off the bat, just so kids can't scald their hands. If you want to unlock it, you just have to push the up button for 5 seconds. And you hear the second beep and it'll let you go up to 55. But just making sure if you do have kids, turn it back to 50, that way they're not scalding their hands. Fridge and freezer combo. Controls for both are right down below. Coldest setting is clockwise all the way to the right. Anywhere before that's a warmer setting. And then you do have some off-grid writing. That's just letting you know the most energy efficient setting to run it on if you're running off battery power. Then you got a charcoal filter in the left corner here. That's just to help with fridge odors. If you'd like to get set up with some more of those, you can contact the parts department and they'd be more than happy to help you out with that. Back into your dinette area, lights on their own center push buttons. This is also where the fire exit is. Pulling the tab down will allow you to slide the window open. Then you can slide your screen over and hop on out of the unit. And then all the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. Next, you got your dinette area. It's currently set up as a seating area. Pretty standard. Right down below, you got a couple different little clamps. Undoing the clamps on both the top and bottom. That'll allow you to pull this right out of place. You can then take your tabletop, set it up on your ledges, and you could make yourself into another bed. If you were to have guests, of course. And then whenever you're traveling, always making sure you do have these clamps locked. Otherwise, it'll be able to swing around freely. It could cause a little bit of damage, and we don't want that. Pre-mounted for a little TV here. Just keeping in mind the size of TV you go with, because it does have to clear the slide out and the wall on that one side. Up top, you got your plugins. You're pre-wired for Wi-Fi. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact your parts department. And then you got your coax outlets, as well as this little button. Turning that on turns the antenna on in the roof. It also improves radio frequency. So I always recommend leaving it on and then turning it off whenever you're done, so it doesn't draw any battery power. Thermostat for your furnace is right here. The furnace does only have 1 fan speed all the way to the right. Turns that furnace on. Whenever you turn the furnace back off, it does run for an additional 3 minutes to allow itself to cool down. And then up top, you got all your controls for your air conditioner. You're gonna notice here, there's gonna be this red option. I'm not even sure why they put that there because these don't come equipped with heat pumps. They only have the cool, so just leave it on that blue all the time. Turning it over to your first options, a low fan, another low fan option, and then you get your high fan. So that's just moving air around with the air conditioner. No heating or cooling involved. You can just choose where you point your air with the louvers that are right here. One more time, I'll get you into low cool. So now the air conditioning takes into effect. And then high cool, it's pretty much the same thing. You got your bunk space, top and bottom bunk. You got plugins as well as a couple of lights. And last but not least, before we get to the bathroom, underneath the fridge, pushing that down, you got your fuse and breaker panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. You got all your corresponding fuses on the right, and then you're going to notice this little panel here. It's got an antifreeze inlet sticker, taking the 2 screws out, so it does give you access to your water pump for that winterization. You find that bypass hose, follow the bypass hose back. It's going to bring you to a valve. You just got to turn that valve and then stick that end into a jug of antifreeze. Last but not least, taking a step on into the bedroom, bathroom. Light switches on the wall. You got your medicine cabinet up top. Main GFI plug on the wall. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd look. You got tests on the bottom, reset in the middle. Again, they're all hooked up through GFI, so just making sure that that's not tripped. Other than that, you're pretty much your standard bathroom. And then up in the shower here, you got your vent. Pulling that down will allow you to open up that vent lid. You're going to notice you open up straight into the atmosphere, and if you were to forget this open while traveling, you do run the risk of damaging your vent lid. And of course, if it was raining, it's going to get wet inside here. We do sell max air covers here at the shop. It's a cover that goes over top of this vent. It's going to allow you to run that vent. If it's raining, it's not going to get wet inside here. It also isn't going to cause any damage if you were to forget it open. It's a great little addition you can get set up with in your camper just by contacting your parts department. They'll put together a quote for you. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.